First-time buyer fears.
I'm a worrier, as my wife would say to me, so I always worry about the money side of things. So how much is it going to cost? What deposit size are we going to need? Running costs when we're actually moving, deposit, can we actually afford the repayments of the mortgage?
Buying a house is likely to be the biggest purchase you'll make in your lifetime. So it's understandable when buying for the first time, it feels like stepping into the unknown, and you're likely to have a few worries and concerns.
My biggest worries when looking into getting a property would be it falling through at the very last minute and having already paid out a deposit, not knowing what happens then with that money, and something going wrong. So I know that valuations and things happen, but I would hate to buy a property and then the minute I move in, the ceiling falls in, and then it's suddenly your responsibility. So just knowing that everything has been covered and I've checked all those bases before I move forward with giving someone my money.
What's the risk of losing your deposit? When you make an offer on a property, it may take some weeks or months for all the legal and financial paperwork to be carried out. You need to send your deposit to your legal company so that they can exchange contracts, which guarantees your purchase and protects your deposit should the sale fall through after exchange. If the purchase falls through prior to exchange, you may incur fees for finance and legal work carried out, but you won't risk losing any of your deposit money. If the purchase falls through after exchange because you change your mind and pull out, then the seller would keep your deposit as per the contract. Property purchases can fall through prior to exchange, but it is rare for there to be a problem after contracts have been exchanged. How do I get a deposit back if my purchase falls through? When you exchange contracts, this means the buyer and seller are legally committed to the purchase and sale of the property. If you've already exchanged contracts and then the purchase falls through because the seller has dropped out, you will receive your full deposit back from your legal company. What does LTV mean? Loan to value, or as it's often referred to, LTV, is the amount of mortgage you borrow versus the value of the property. So how do you work this out? All you need to do is take the value of the property, for example, £250,000, and if you have a deposit of £50,000, then you will need to borrow £200,000. To calculate the LTV, you divide £200,000 by £250,000, which gives you 0.8. Times this by 100 and you get 80%. So, if you buy a property for £250,000 with a £50,000 deposit, borrowing £200,000, your LTV is 80%. Why does the LTV matter? This is because when it comes to finding the right mortgage for you, the lower your LTV, the more options will be available to you at the best rates, as you're considered by the lender to be a low-risk borrower. Can I get a loan for my deposit? Unfortunately not. This is frowned upon by lenders. A mortgage is lent to you based on what payments you can afford on a monthly basis, and normally with a sum of money in the form of a deposit from you to support the purchase. So if you have to take out a loan for the deposit, it suggests you can't really afford the property in the first place. Instead though, you might be able to borrow 100% of the purchase price if you have a guarantor who can support a deposit, but we recommend you speak to a mortgage advisor first.
One of the scariest things about buying on your own was that obviously everything is down to you. Obviously you go to the solicitors, you sign the paperwork and you think there's no one to hug at the end of it and say, well done, you've done this. But at the end of the day, you have done it, and you go home, you get your keys, you put them in the door and it's yours now, and you just think, actually, you can do it on your own. You can afford to do it on your own, and it's actually just as exciting to be able to do that.